Hello, hello. Welcome to Avio's Journey. It's Tuesday. So good to see everybody. I hope you are having a wonderful week so far, and welcome back to the podcast. Today we're talking about planning. The name of the title is Committing to Excellence, Planning and Focus Tips for voice actors. So today I want to kind of dive in and give some actual ways that you can plan for success that will also lead you to productivity. This morning, I talked about the and coffee time, the quote this morning from Meyer, right? Productivity is never an accident. And that commitment to excellence, these are, and it's funny because I think we use these words like excellence and commitment, intelligence, planning, all of these words, and they all sound really great. You know what I mean? They all sound fantastic. But what do they, beyond them, what are they in a practical scenario, right? What do they mean practically? Like actionably, right? They're philosophically, they're wonderful motivators, but I think we've seen them so much now that they tend to motivate us actually less. And it frustrates us in a way, or at least it frustrates me a lot of times, because these words do mean something, but when you use something so much over and over again, or you see something so much over and over again, it begins to lose its importance, right? So it really, and it is, I think, even more so critical that we dive into actual things, like literally things that you could put on like A, B, C, D that you can actually do. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Real quick, just so you know, we've started our Memorial Day week special for VO's Journey. So it's only $24 to join for the first month for VO's Journey Elite Academy. So give us a shot. This is a good opportunity to dive in there, see, what you like, learn some stuff, see if, you want to stay on with us longer. But it's a great opportunity, as well as I have opened back up my mentorship program. It's really been great. I have some students signing up, so don't wait too long because I've reduced that by quite a bit of money to take on some new students. So check that out at VO's Journey if you're looking to get some one-on-one assistance to help you grow your business individually, as well as, of course, all our courses are 30% off right now. So check that out. All right. So anyways, and there'll be a link below for that. So let's dive into the practical things, and talking again just about those words. When someone says those things to you, they are great things. They are great things. But always remember too that you need a practical approach. All right. So what I want to share with you today is something that I have used for a while. And it helps a lot. So first things first, in order to make change happen, in order to be productive, and being productive in the right sense, we have to first identify what it is you're trying to accomplish. Okay, we need to set a goal. These are going to be, things that you know you should do, but I am still amazed by how many people don't have an actual goal in mind. And again, and then when I do meet people who have a goal, when I'm working with people, the people who do have a goal, they usually default to the amount of money they make at their job. Like, all I need from this is this. And I really want to kind of stop people right there and caution you from defaulting to the idea of all I need is something. Okay? Because what is that kind of makes you believe that a person is really only doing what they're doing because they just don't like their other occupation. Now that's true, okay? But I can tell you that, if it's really money, like a lot of money you're after, there probably are faster ways to get money than what we do. Okay? I don't think they're as satisfying because I love what we do, but like it can't be, well, I just need to make, $4,000 a month. You know what I mean? And that's all I need from this. I mean, when you approach your goal that way, it just sets you up for I'm not real. It's not, I can get, if I just get that, everything will be fine. Right. I don't like that, because it makes me feel like your goal is not actually something that excites you. It's more like something that you're just trying to temper your frustrations with a possible way out. But if it doesn't happen, it's no big deal, because you already have this over here. I like to try to set my goals a lot more intentionally. So if I say that I'm going, going back to that whole Kennedy idea, right, where, we're going to, land, put someone on the moon and bring them back safely by the end of this decade. All right. And if you look at that way that goal is, right, there's very specific nature of what we are going to accomplish, right? What we have to do to accomplish it, and by what time we're measuring that accomplishment. Those components are vital to your success and to your setting a goal. And the reason why that whole setup is vital is because if you leave one of those components out, then you have this never-ending, it's okay if it doesn't happen. So you unintentionally or intentionally, but maybe not consciously, you're leaving yourself a way out. You're leaving yourself a way to fail. So I know we've all heard that analogy, right? Made from the famous lines of, when the boats were landed on the beach, right? Right, the general says, I've burned the boats, so the only way we go home, right, is you win, or we'll all die. And I that was a very broad paraphrase of it. But, right, we all know that, burning the boats, right, meaning like we can't go back, we've got to go forwards. I'm not saying quit your jobs or something like that. What I'm saying is that metaphorically, we need to burn the boats of leaving ourselves a way out. This is the first thing, of quitting. Okay? So meaning that we are going to, and let's just say for the sake of this, which I really hate, but let's just say for the sake of it, we make it monetary. And we're going to say, I want to, and I don't like the monetary goals, because you have to, like, it's difficult to do a monthly one. Most people want to say, I want to make, $10,000 a month or something. Why I say it's difficult to have a goal like that is because you can't, like, just to say I'm going to make $10,000 a month, that's too broad. What I mean by broad is that what is the time frame of that? How do you measure that average? Is it I make, $10,000 a month for the next year? This is what I'm trying to point out. This is why you have to be very specific. So you'd say, like, if we were going to make a really specific goal, you say, I want to make $10,000. I'm going to make $10,000 a month, right, over 1 year's time by the end of 2026. The problem with that type of goal, all right, no, you can have that, and that's fine. I'll be square with you. Nowadays, with things changing so much, I don't always like to set out goals now so far, because gosh, things change so fast, right? Like 3, 5 years, 10 years goal. Yeah, but right now, it's kind of one of those things where if you say that, you have to have an entire year. Okay, because how do you measure? Is it 3 months? Are you going to say, I'd like to make $10,000? Or are you just like, I want to have 1 month where I make $10,000 a month? But if you do that, does that mean the other months you can make $1,000 and you'd be happy? No. So you really have to be very specific about that number and the average time, or the amount of time you want to do that, to indicate that you have reached this ongoing. So here's the thing. when you set your goal, really take some time and think about what you're really trying to accomplish. And if it is money, that's fine, but that money there needs to be, it can't just be, like, if I was to say to you, I'm going to give you $1 million, we all be, ecstatic, right? But at the same time, how long is that $1 million going to last you in our day and age? It's not going to last you forever. Don't even, and I didn't say $1 million after taxes. So I mean, like, you right? I mean, and like, you have to consider that the money comes and money goes. So it cannot be, it's a transitory thing. It cannot be this single thing. So the reason why I'm really diving into this part before we get to these other key parts is because your goal sets the tone for everything, right? So if you say, I want to know, and this is a very big distinction, I want to know, or I want to average $3,000 a month by the end of 2026. Okay, and I know that I'm averaging $3,000 a month by having, 6 months of $3,000. Right? That's a very specific goal. And the reason why we're making it that specific is because if we don't make it that specific, you're never going to actually be able to reverse engineer your goal in any practical manner without it just falling apart, crumbling. And then what happens is because it is still so broad, you won't be able to actually make, right, specific actions and then measure them and track them so that you can use that data to change them in order to reach the specific things. Here's a perfect example. And people don't think about this, and I understand that because you might not be in that position. But what if I was to tell you that your goal was to make $5,000 a month, ongoing, month after month? So you want to try to bring in $60,000 a year. All right. Now we're just gonna stick with gross because don't get me started on taxes. Right, because you know me, I have a love and hate relationship with taxes. Right, again, I always love the fact that if my house is on fire, the fireman's gonna come, or something's wrong, the policeman's gonna come. I can drive down roads. I mean, I love my I feel we need taxes. At the same time, I don't like that I have to pay so many taxes. Right. So, anyways, and I have so little say, I feel like, over where they go. Anyways, the point is, right, is that's a whole nother expense, up to 35% of your amount of money you bring in. So don't forget that. So when you talk about gross numbers, don't forget that 35% that actually goes to taxes, right? So now you're down 35%. And if you don't know how to do if you don't know what to do with your money when you're getting it, like from a business standpoint, you're going to end up paying so much more. So anyways, the point I'm trying to make here, okay, so let's move on for taxes. But here's the deal. What if I was to tell you, this might be something you never thought about, that if you get, let's say you're making $3,000 a month, but you want to make $5,000 a month. But here's the rub. To make that $3,000 a month, you are a, crazy, awesome, audiobook narrator that is killing it. I mean, you got so many you got 6 audiobooks in the queue. You're booked out for months, right? More people every week want you to work with them. You got audiobook work, you making money, it's great, right? You're making three grand. As you look at your numbers and your time, you realize this is wonderful, but I literally physically have no more time to do anything else or to make any more money because this work is taking up all of my time. If you have become busy with audiobooks or even done one audiobook, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So then all of a sudden you realize wait a minute, I can't make that $5,000 a month because I physically can't make any more with what I'm currently doing. All right? Here's the thing. Again, if you have a very specific goal to reach by a specific date, you are going to make decisions to reach that goal that you normally would not make if you were just winging it. Meaning, if you were just, I just need to make this. If I could just randomly make this amount. So what do I mean by you'd make decisions that you would never make? Maybe you decide, well, this is how much time I have left to get this goal. I look at this, if I do short form work, I can leverage my time and the amount of money because it pays way more money than what it is here. It could potentially be more difficult to get work, but the pay is way better, and I would be able to make the money I'm trying to make by this date if I do this. However, I can't do it. I can't even think about it because I'm doing all this. So that means I got to make a decision. That means I need to stop taking on all this audiobook work. By the way, on a side note, I'm using this as a hypothetical right now. I'm not telling anybody to do any, to randomly do. I'm not talking to any particular person. I'm just giving you an example. In fact, the example I'm giving you is my example. This is literally what I went through personally with my business. Some of you might have told this story a while ago, but I'm telling it to you here. Basically, I was swamped nonstop. I was starting to fall asleep because I was working my full-time job. I was doing this. I was making all this money. To me, $3,000 a month is a lot of money. And but I realized I had no more time to make any more money. And if I wanted to leave my job, which is what I wanted to, and to be able to replace that income on a monthly basis, not fear that I was I needed to make, and in my mind, I set the goal. It had to be at least double because I wanted to know that if I lost 50% of my revenue randomly one month, that it would not destroy, our family financially. So I looked at myself and I said, I can't make this much. I can't make that. I can't double that because 3,000 was what I was making in my job at also a month. So I could not. And that was after taxes though. And I didn't even at that time, I didn't even consider the tax part, right? Because it just was, I was always an employee. So taxes were always taken out of my paycheck because I always, filed zero. So they were always taken out of my paycheck. My wife, we always filed married jointly and both of us filed. So I never even, I never thought, I was never taught how much the government takes from you. Anyways, but so the point is I was thinking that was enough, 3,000, that was what I was making, but actually I was making more than that. I was making more around 4,500, but I was only seeing 3,000. Actually it was 28 at the time. So remember, anyways, the point I'm trying to make to you is I realized at that moment I couldn't do it. I could not make it happen. So I decided that the only thing I could do was literally to stop doing audiobooks. So basically almost cancel 80% of all of my revenue, because I realized at that time that I could not make more money. I had raised the rates as far as I thought I could do, but I physically could not make more money. Now, maybe if I had worked maybe if I was in a position where I wasn't working a full-time job and I was able to do audiobooks full-time, I had, hired an editor, I had done XYZ, right? I maybe I could have leveraged that up to $5,000, $6,000 maybe. Do you know what I mean? But man, you're talking a nonstop, nonstop recording and editing for hours and hours and hours. Some people love it, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's wonderful, and I love. It's some of the best acting that you can do in our business, right? And there's always a lot of work. But again, leverage-wise, I could not find a way to leverage that with myself. So I made the decision, because of the goals that I had set and the specific nature of the goals I set in the time frame that I wanted to do this on, I knew I had to make some drastic decisions, and I made that decision. And I remember losing, it ended up losing at the time for the first 3 to 6 months, I lost about 50 to 60% of my revenue. And that was really scary and frightening. However, my revenue started to pick back up. It started to grow. Then it grew beyond that. Then it doubled that. Then it tripled that. Right? So there was some unexpected growth that came also from the fact that I was able, once I had doubled and tripled my income, I was able to go full time. And then when I went full time, I doubled that again. Right? So now, all this is coming in. So I had reached that goal. All right? Now, it's talking about, I think last week we talked a little about setting goals after you reach goals and never stopping, right? But that's for another. But we're talking about reaching that one goal you have right now. So that was my story of having to make that decision. And I made about 2 or 3 of those over the course of 3 years because of the very specific goal that I had, right? You have to make your goal specific. I hope I've driven that home. Now, once you make that goal specific, you have to work backwards, right? We have to reverse engineer how we're going to get there. Okay? So I love the creative nature of what we do, but I also love the logical nature and data-driven results and data-driven actions, right? That business allows us to do as well. So if I want to say, well, I'm going to make $3,000 a month, then I know that, let's say that the average voiceover job I'm going to do is $100. I'm just using random numbers. All right. So I know that if my average voiceover job is $100, then to get to $3,000 a month, right, I need to do 30 voiceovers. So that means I need to get 30 voiceovers. So right now, you've already started to figure out, right off the bat, how many voiceovers you need to get in order to reach that goal that you set. Right? We're starting to actually start to put into motion the realization of your goal. Not a dream, not the words I used in the beginning, right? Which is they're wonderful, but not the commitment to excellence, the planning, the we talked about the productivity, all those words, the results, all the things that we're using, we're actually physically writing down or putting in a spreadsheet what it actually will take. Now, I know I need 30 voiceovers. How can I get 30 voiceovers? Well, at this point, we need to start to look, okay, what do I need to get a voiceover? What does it take me? What actions do I need to do? So I go on to a pay-to-play site because I know if I pay this amount of money every year, I get these auditions. Okay? Let's say that a month I get 60 auditions. I mean, usually going to get more than that from some of the bigger pay-to-play sites. Let's say you get 100 auditions sent to you a month, right? And if I do all of those auditions, well, actually, you probably get more like 5 or 10 a day. You'll get way more than that. So, but let's just say you do 100 auditions. Let's just say that you do 100 auditions a month, and out of those 100 auditions, you get 3 voiceovers. Let's say you get 2 or 3 voiceovers. Okay? So now you know that you got 3 voiceovers. We'll say you got 3 voiceovers. So you made $300. You did 100 auditions. Did you reach your $3,000? No. Right? But we know that because you did 100 auditions, that yielded $300. Logically, you could logically say, all right, well, if it's 100 to 3, then that means if I need to get 30, right? So then what is that? I need to do what? All right, so you then figure out, right? Because if I was to do then 1,000 voiceover or 1,000 auditions, that would be what? So 1,000 would be 30, right? So that's the logic behind this. So I did 1,000 auditions, I get 30 jobs. Right? Is that right? that number right? I think so. Yeah. Yeah. So right there, you realize, okay, well, then in order to reach my goal of $3,000, because I need to do 30 voiceovers at $100, then I know if it takes me 100 auditions to get 3 jobs, 200 auditions is 6, 300 auditions is 9, and so forth. So I need 1,000 auditions. That means if I need 1,000 auditions, that means each week, if you divide that by 4, right, you're going to get 250 auditions. 250 auditions divided by 7 is what? 20, 21. Okay, so now I've got 20, right? 21. No. Was that right? Let's get to the math. I was on a roll. I think that's right. No, is it right? No, because it's 20 times. Yeah, 20 times 7 is 1. Thank you. 20 times 7 is 140. So really, so what we need is, right, 40. Okay, so somewhere around, somewhere between 30 and 40 auditions. Okay, a day. So you need to do 30, 40 auditions a day. All right. Let's see. Yeah. So, because if I did 30 auditions, right, for 30 days, that's 900 auditions. So, 30 auditions a day. 30 to 35. That's a lot of auditions. Then I realize that I then look further into the numbers and I say, let's say if I do 30 auditions, right, one audition takes me 30 minutes. So it takes me 30 minutes to do one audition. 30 auditions would take me 15 hours, right? So now 15 hours, I'm thinking 15 hours, I mean, there's no way in hell I've got 15 hours to just audition. So here's where you start to realize, and this is why this is so powerful, because you start to realize, okay, so then what do I need to do to get that down? Maybe I can do 6 hours. So that means I've got to I got to be able to audition way faster than 30 minutes an audition. So what if I just moved it down to 10 minutes an audition? So that means 10 minutes an audition, I could get in 6 auditions, right, per hour at 10 minutes an audition. That takes me to, if I had 6 hours, right, that takes me to 36 auditions. So now in 6 hours, I'm able to reach that. But wait, maybe I don't have 6 hours. What about I only have 5 hours? 5 hours at 6 auditions is 30 auditions. But what if I only have 3 hours? That means I need to get up my auditions to 10 an hour. How can I do that? Is there a way to bulk my auditions? Where do I go to find all these auditions? What do I need to do? Do I get 30 auditions? So you see how all of a sudden, because we've identified the goal and what we're trying to accomplish, now, it starts to actually physically tell you what you need to do, what you need to make happen. Now you might realize, well, wait a minute, I can't just all that time. That's one thing, but I don't like the idea. And maybe I want to make more than $3,000. Maybe I want to make $6,000. Well, how do I leverage any sort of marketing in order to not have to do auditions, but still possibly get work? Hence freelance websites, hence your own marketing, email marketing. But email marketing, wait a minute, I got time. How do I leverage that? Does that even work? You have all of these things, and this is where your decisions come in to what works the best. Now, joining a VO's Journey Lead Academy, being a part of processes, team, people, learning, getting coaching, understanding what works best, how to get better rates, right? Maybe what if you I got 3 jobs for every 50 auditions I did? That changes the whole game. Because now you literally cut what you need in half. So now you have basically taken what you could do and doubled your income or tripled your income based off of those numbers because you're getting so much higher a rate of being hired, right? And that comes through coaching. All of this comes from you having a very specific goal and a time frame in which you need to reach the goal, and then reverse engineering that goal to logically figure out what it takes to reach that goal. Okay? And clear, simple numbers. I see most people only get to that first part, the bare minimum of the first part of the goal. I want to do this. And then they quit trying to figure out the reverse engineering part. And many of them just listen to what a whole bunch of different people tell them. There's nothing wrong with putting yourself in a situation like, for example, joining the academy or something where you have a system and you can dial into that system. But I still strongly, even in that case, still strongly recommend that you have a goal, because you won't know if you've reached it and you won't know what decisions you need to make in order to reach those goals. But if you reverse engineer, like I just taught you or just talked about, right, you're going to be able to say, I know I need to get 100 voiceovers a month. If I get 100 voiceovers a month, if I do 100 voiceovers a month, I'm going to reach my goal. Or maybe I want to make $1,000 per voiceover. So I know if I get 10 voiceovers a month, I'm going to reach my goal of $10,000 a month. So everything I need to do revolves around finding jobs that are at least $1,000 or more a job, and I only need to get 10 of them. That change, do you see how that, if you think like that, all of a sudden, by me saying that, I bet let your mind think, okay, well, how do I do that? Right? Like, do you want to, so if you're not doing that specific work with the goals you're setting, your mind, you're behind the 8 ball. Like, it's going to be near impossible for you to reach any of them. And yes, thinking is not easy. I mean, I laugh about it, right? Because we think every day, but you know what I mean, right? Like, really diving into this. And why is it not easy? Because it forces us to make hard decisions. Right? It forces us to make hard decisions. I think the reason why a lot of people don't make some of those decisions is because I do honestly believe they want more. They really want more. But they're afraid to say it out loud. They're afraid to actually speak their desire because somewhere at some point, or the world or whatever has told them that it's not for you. You're not going to be able to ever reach the goal that you really want to obtain. The one that's inside that you never share out loud with anybody because you're afraid everybody will think you're just stupid, or that's stupid to think that way. Or you've been told it's dumb, you'll never make that much money. Or you'll never reach those heights you want to get to. Right? We're told that a lot throughout our lives from whatever, whether it's, individual, like whether it's a person or society. But we are. And I find that a lot of people are just afraid to say how much money they really want to make, because then if they say it out loud and they hear themselves saying it, then there is, again, that's another ship burnt. Right? You've burned another ship. You've burned another one. You've burned another, every time you're honest, really honest, you burn another ship because you can't lie to yourself anymore. That got deep really fast, but you'll learn that what I just told you, it really, honestly, you guys, it really does boil down to just literally knowing exactly what you want. Once you know exactly what you want, getting it is only a matter of time. I'm convinced that the majority of us struggle because we really have yet to define what we really want. And to do that, we have to come to some sort of terms and be open and honest about it. And I think sometimes being open and honest scares us, because you might come out and be like, I want a yacht. Just randomly, you shout it out, I want a yacht. And then you say to yourself, God, I'm such an idiot. I don't get a yacht. Why would I want it? Like, you'll do this. I was using this example, right? But you're going to say these things, right? And you're going to say it out loud and realize, why would I need, you're going to then give yourself all these reasons why you shouldn't have it, or you shouldn't want it, or why it's not possible, or why I can't do X, Y, Z. Then you're going to say to yourself, why do I even want something? Why do I need that? Is that really what I want? Or is that going to give me something I feel like I want? I mean, this is an exercise. This is an exercise. A while ago, I listened to, it changed my life. So Simon Sinek, Sinek, I think he has the #1 watched TED Talk of all time. His very famous book called Start With Why. And it's an incredible. If you haven't heard it or seen it or watched it, go do it. It'll change your life, right? And he talks about you start with why, right? Not the how or what. Most of us start with the how or what, not with the why. Why do we do the things that we do? And the how or the what are just the ways that we solve the why we do it, And I think that at the heart of all of this is really the true reason why we fail or succeed, because we have to be open and honest and actually make that decision. All right, let's go ahead and call that and let me just to say, as that's passing, right, you can make that decision. Many of you know it. You know it in your heart. Don't be afraid to go after it. Now, just because you say it out loud doesn't mean you're going to reach it tomorrow. It might take you some time. It might take you a bunch of time. But at least you're moving towards something and you're honest. I mean, there's freedom in honesty, right? There's a weight lifted when you're honest. Yeah, there's other weights there, like frustration that you're not there yet, but you're not lying to yourself. And we know lying sucks. Just put it, lying sucks. Even to the worst person we lie to is ourselves. Okay, so that I hope this wanted to remain positive. God, I don't know how long this video is, but we were just going all in on it. I hope at least, though, I've given you some practical ways. Really dive into that goal, you guys. Make it as specific as possible, then reverse engineer it logically by the number of things that you need to accomplish in order to get this. Use numbers. Use numbers to accomplish it. Now, you might be like, I don't even have really numbers because I don't even know. Well, that's why it does help to be a part of a group or somewhere who can help you at least somewhat with understanding what's going on in the industry and what's happening right now. That helps a great deal. But what you're really going to have to do is go through the ringer to discover them yourself, just like a science project, right? Just like the scientific method, right? You have a hypothesis, and through that hypothesis, right, you start to experiment, right? You start to gather data. You start to put together variables. You start to do controlled tests. You start to do all these things to gather what you need and make your discoveries through your theory. I think this. If I do this, this is going to happen. Try it out. What data did you collect from it, right? This is the way that we can really reach our goals, really. Not dreams, not just have random dreams, but actually reach those goals. All right, guys, don't forget, check out the link below. We're running our special, and join us, This is a hell of a journey and a lot of fun. And it's always more fun together. So I'd love to have you guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful Tuesday. Thank you so much for sticking around for so long. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.